Collapse is rarely recognized for what it is. Most people experience it through identity, not sensation. I've lost my drive. I don't know who I am anymore. Something is wrong with me. The mind searches for explanations, stories, diagnoses, while the body is doing something far more basic. It's shutting down excess load. Collapse often begins as a loss of clarity. Direction that once felt obvious disappears. Decisions feel impossible or meaningless. Motivation doesn't just weaken, it evaporates. Even what once mattered deeply can feel distant, abstract, irrelevant. This is often labeled apathy or depression. But within the cycle, it's physiological, not a psychological failure. As collapse deepens, the system withdraws. Social contact feels taxing. Communication becomes effortful. What once energized now feels invasive. The body seeks quiet, darkness, simplicity, not as preference, as necessity. This is shutdown. Shutdown happens when continued engagement is unsustainable. It's not laziness. It's not giving up. It's the body conserving resources after prolonged activation or pressure without enough integration. What makes collapse confusing is that it often follows effort, success, or growth. From the mind's view, this makes no sense. Why no? But collapse isn't caused by failure. It's caused by cumulative demand. When too much has been held for too long, the system doesn't negotiate. It powers down. Who am I if I'm not moving forward? Collapse strips away roles, momentum, self-concepts, the structures held together by energy. When those supports fall away, attention is forced into sensation. And sensation here is often blunt. Heaviness, fog, emptiness, fatigue that sleep doesn't immediately resolve. A sense of being offline. Emotional range narrows. Time distorts. There's little desire to explain or perform. This is the phase most people avoid or pathologize. They try to fix it, reframe it, escape it. They search for meaning when what's required is presence. Collapse isn't asking to be understood conceptually. It's asking to be felt. Here, identity gives way to physiology. Striving gives way to regulation. The system insists on attention at the level of sensation, not story. When collapse is misread as failure, it's resisted and resistance prolongs it. When collapse is recognized as shut down, it can be met differently. The body isn't broken. It's recovering, resetting the baseline. So future expansion doesn't require the same cost. Understanding what collapse feels like is the first step in navigating it without self-attack. Collapse isn't the end of the cycle. It's the phase where the body finally gets a voice after being ignored for too long.
Collapse is almost always judged as a step backward. From the outside, and especially from the mind, it looks like regression. Less energy, less clarity, less engagement, fewer results. The story becomes, I was doing better. Now I'm worse. That interpretation feels logical, but within the cycle, it's inaccurate. Collapse isn't a reversal of progress. It's a pause caused by incomplete integration. When something expands capacity, awareness, responsibility, pace, the nervous system has to reorganize to hold it. Expansion changes the internal environment. More sensation, more uncertainty, more exposure. If integration doesn't happen as expansion occurs, the system moves forward on borrowed regulation. That can work temporarily, but not indefinitely. Collapse is what happens when the nervous system finally insists on catching up. This is why collapse often arrives later. The system can hold together during excitement, effort, or drive. But when activation drops, the unintegrated load becomes visible. Energy fades as activation recedes. The body no longer has resources to compensate, so it downshifts. Collapse doesn't announce itself as regulation. It feels like loss. The mind compares present capacity to past performance and concludes something has deteriorated. But the system is recalibrating to a level of expansion that already happened. Nothing has been lost. Collapse isn't erasing growth. It's metabolizing it. The nervous system can integrate while being driven. It integrates in stillness, in low demand, in reduced stimulation. Shutdown creates the conditions for reorganization. It lowers noise so the system can repattern. It reduces output so internal coherence can return. This is why trying to get back to how things were before collapse doesn't work. That state was held together by activation, not stability. The system isn't returning to the past. It's forming a new baseline that includes what already expanded. Judgment adds pressure. Pressure adds demand. Demand delays integration. Judgment increases load at the exact moment the system is trying to reduce it. Neutrality removes that load. Neutrality isn't indifference. It's accurate orientation. This is a regulatory phase. Something is integrating. When the system stops defending against self-attack, resources free up. As integration completes, subtle changes appear. Small shifts, clearer sensation, softer fatigue. Interest returns in small, non-urgent ways. The system signals readiness, not resistance. When collapse is allowed to do its job, it resolves naturally. Energy returns without force, clarity without effort, action without pressure. The system now operates from a higher level of coherence than before, not because collapse was avoided, but because it was completed. Regression moves backward. Collapse moves inward. One dismantles capacity, the other rebuilds it. This shift from judgment to neutrality changes how collapse is lived. It stops being a problem to solve and becomes a phase to respect. Collapse isn't the opposite of manifestation. It's the phase that makes sustainable manifestation possible. When collapse is respected, it becomes shorter, cleaner, and far less frightening.
Collapse already reduces energy and engagement. But what turns a natural regulatory phase into prolonged suffering is what often comes next. Shame. Shame isn't part of collapse itself. It's the secondary response layered on top of it. And that layering is what deepens shutdown. When the system collapses, capacity drops. The body pulls inward. Output reduces. Clarity fades. From the nervous system's perspective, this is sensible, protective. From the mind's perspective, it looks like failure. The gap between what you think you should be able to do and what you can actually do widens. And into that gap, judgment rushes. I shouldn't be like this. Other people don't shut down this way. I've already worked through this. What's wrong with me? These feel like insight, but they're actually attacks. They frame a physiological state as a personal or moral flaw. Shame enters because identity is still leading interpretation. Worth is measured through productivity, clarity, consistency, contribution. Collapse temporarily removes access to all of these. Without understanding the phase, the mind assumes the problem is the self. This is why shame is so common. Collapse strips away the behaviors that normally protect identity. The nervous system goes quiet, but the mind gets loud, trying to regain control by judging what it can't regulate. Shame worsens shutdown because it adds threat. The nervous system doesn't distinguish between external threat and internal attack. Self-criticism registers as danger. With shame present, even slowing down feels unsafe. No refuge, no permission to rest, no internal ally. In response, shutdown deepens, energy falls, withdrawal increases, numbness intensifies. The system now protects against both external demand and internal attack. Collapse leads to shame. Shame increases threat. Threat deepens collapse. It feels like collapse is worsening when the secondary response is compounding the primary state. This distinction matters. Collapse doesn't need fixing. Shame does. The shift begins when shame is recognized not as truth, but as a reflex. It's the mind trying to regain authority over a state it doesn't understand. Shame feels familiar because it promises correction, but it can't produce regulation. It only adds load. When shame is interrupted, even a little, the system responds. The body senses reduced threat. Shutdown no longer needs to intensify. Space opens for integration to continue. This doesn't require positive thinking or self-reassurance. It requires accuracy. This is a regulatory phase. My system is conserving. Nothing has gone wrong. That orientation alone reduces internal aggression. Collapse resolves through safety, not judgment. The more gently the system is met, the faster it reorganizes. When shame is removed from the equation, collapse becomes what it was meant to be. The real danger isn't collapse. It's self-attack layered on top of it. When that's seen clearly, the cycle can move forward without unnecessary suffering and without mistaking regulation for failure. When contraction or collapse begins, the instinct is to escape it, to distract, to fix, to rise above, to do anything other than stay with what's here. This reflex is understandable. Collapse can feel like disappearance of energy, clarity, even self. The urge to leave the body, to numb, to intellectualize, or to force movement is a protective attempt to regain control. But within the cycle, escape is what prevents contraction from completing. Contraction isn't meant to be avoided or shortened through effort. It's meant to be inhabited. The nervous system entered shutdown to reduce load, and it can only exit shutdown when reduced demand is actually respected. Staying present is how that message is delivered. Presence doesn't mean analyzing or understanding this conceptually. It means letting attention settle into sensation instead of story. Instead of asking why this is happening, awareness turns to what is happening now. The weight, the slowness, the fog, the narrowness of emotional range. These aren't problems to solve. They're states to be felt. When sensation is allowed without resistance, something subtle shifts. The system no longer has to defend against urgency or self-attack. Monitoring decreases. Muscular tension softens. Breath deepens naturally. These are early signals of safety. Letting collapse complete requires patience. There's no timeline to manage and no outcome to aim for. The body reorganizes at its own pace. Rushing this process, through stimulation, productivity, or premature meaning, signals that demand is still present. Presence communicates the opposite. There is nothing required of you right now. That message is profoundly regulating. As contraction completes, reopening happens organically. Energy returns in small, quiet ways. Interest flickers without urgency. Sensation differentiates. The body feels slightly less dense. The system is coming back online. This doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It feels like relief, like space, like breathing again. Action becomes available not because it's demanded, but because it's no longer threatening. This is how the body reopens naturally, not through effort, but through completion. When contraction is fully inhabited, it doesn't repeat as often. The system learns it will be listened to, that it doesn't need to escalate to be respected. Staying present through contraction is a skill, not a strategy. It's the willingness to stay with what's real, even when it doesn't match identity or expectation. The cycle doesn't punish avoidance, but it does respond to it. When collapse is escaped, it returns. When it's inhabited, it completes. Presence isn't passive. It's participatory. It's how the body is accompanied back into regulation. And from that regulation, movement resumes, not as a reaction against collapse, but as the natural next phase of a cycle that's been allowed to finish.